Have a look, which day? It's art style day! That means we're gonna create the first art style for our simplistic strategy game, and I'm gonna take you with me. Okay, I basically just recorded what I did the entire day, and this is the entire footage, but 20 times as fast. So I'm just gonna talk over this in one attempt, and as you can see, I'm creating the Dragons art style today, the digital painting art style. What I want to do is I want to create 4 different art styles, 4 completely different art styles, and this is the first one, and I want to prototype every single art style in just one day. So here's basically how I create the Dragons art style in one day. Obviously it's not gonna be completely done in one day, that's not possible, but I try to finish it as much as possible so you can get a really good estimation of how the finished art style would look. What I did so far is I created some sort of magical stone thingy that I want to build into the background, and I also drew the background with a custom brush. I wanted it to look like a magical grass texture with some old stones buried underneath. So that's what I tried to do here. Growing a bit of grass over the stones. But obviously the problem is that the stones really pop a lot. As you can see, I try to blend them in here so they fit more into the background. I don't want the background to be too distracting. And yeah, the stones, they look kind of important now. They look like they have some sort of gameplay purpose, some kind of gameplay functionality, which is obviously not the case. Here adding a bit of texture on top of everything, which most of the time helps to make things look more interesting. Adding a bit of shadows next to the stones, changing the lighting of the background, trying to make it look even more mystical and magical, and also bringing in a lot more colors. It's really important that you change the colors a lot. Even if your main color is green, bring in some other colors like blue, yellow, whatever, so it looks a bit more interesting. So for now I'm done with the background. As you see, I removed the stones in the background because they don't serve any gameplay purpose. Now what I did is I created a couple of black silhouettes and picked the best one, the one I liked the most, and tried to create a little creature dragon thingy out of it. I wasn't quite happy with that, so I start another attempt here with a different silhouette. The silhouettes of your sprites are really important because they help to identify objects on the screen really fast. So just putting them besides each other, looking which one I like more, and as you can see, this dragon here won, so I keep improving it, I make it a bit nicer. Still working on the same background, which is pretty important, so you can see how they work together, how this dragon works on the background. If you just do this in a new Photoshop file, obviously you don't know how the dragon works with the background, so you want to know that. You're just a pretty hacky way to animate the dragon, just moving the wings up and down a bit. Well, the animation is just 3 frames. Obviously if I choose this as a final art style, I would probably do a couple more. Now I'm starting the egg right next to the dragon, so once again I want to see how they fit together. If I just did this in a new file, I wouldn't know if the art style would fit. Yeah,
and basically I want to have some sort of feedback how long it takes the egg to hatch. That's why I painted a bit of shadow thingy inside the egg that shows you how big the dragons inside the eggs are. Here I'm already in Game Maker, already importing some of my graphics, trying to see how this looks. Adjusting the hitboxes, importing the eggs. I'm playing it for the first time, which looks a little bit weird because there are still the old enemies, the old projectiles, but you can already get a pretty good idea of how the final result will probably look. Now, as I didn't use the stones, I can now reuse them as spawners. Just adding a bit of a flashy light in the center. So these magical stones will now spawn the enemies. Yeah, obviously that requires some coding. So I did quite a bit of coding as well. Here I'm creating the projectiles just with a very simple brush and setting everything to add. Just need to make a couple of brush strokes on top of each other and you have that wonderful projectile. Now the rest is pretty much just tuning the colors, and obviously I need to design the enemies as well. That's what I do here. Once again, starting with the silhouette. Wanted something that looks quite different to the dragon, so you can really tell them apart. So I chose a very simplistic shape, and I didn't really feel like iterating a lot on that design, so I just went with the first idea that came into my mind. Because I was really running out of time, I wanted to get this done in just one day. Animating the little hands, so it makes this thingy. Yeah, I don't know the word for that. And already this starts looking like something, doesn't it? Yeah. But obviously we'll have a closer look later on in this video. Now what I do is I try a couple of different backgrounds. Obviously the background is really important. It changes your style and the tone of the game a lot. I had 3 variants of the background. Really bright, colorful green one, this little yellowish one, and then the little darker, not so saturated green one that you see here. So that was a really hard decision. Now I'm adding a bit of effects when you make a dragon explode. There's a bit of a black crater on the ground, which already makes this feel a lot better. Yeah, playing this a lot to figure out what still needs changing. So here I'm testing the different backgrounds again. Here's the bright green one, the dark green one, and the yellowish one. Really hard decision. And also I wasn't quite happy with the color of the eggs, so I tried a couple different versions there as well. And what I finally settled on was blue on the outside, so the same color as the enemies, which kind of tells the player that the eggs are vulnerable to the enemies, and purple in the inside, so you still can kind of tell that they belong to you.
Okay, so the problem I didn't really think about is that it feels kind of weird to make dragons explode, especially because they're really cute and you want them to be your friend. You don't want them to explode. It feels super weird, but I wanted weird. If you remember my how to choose an art style video, I wanted it to be attention grabbing and somewhat strange and memorable. Maybe exploding dragons makes it a little strange and memorable, I don't know.
You don't really want to kill them, but you need to kill them because you need the damage they deal when they die. I don't know. The eggs are cool because they behave pretty much like... I think they're easy to understand, but exploding dragons, that's pretty weird. Let's kill these little ice creatures. The dragons are so cute. Why do they have to explode? Why?
But I have one more idea I can try.
Dragons don't disappear immediately now. When you make them explode, they continue flying, which already feels a lot better, because you don't feel like a brutal dragon killer. It's more like, okay, this dragon's flying home to his family, his job's done. Feels a bit better to me.
What do you think about this art style? Give me a lot of feedback in the comments. I need a lot of feedback. I want to know your opinion about this art style. Thanks for watching. Make the world your playground. See you tomorrow!